everyone, allow me to introduce myself. I am Shania Maybe Palispis, a second-year BS Ed English student of Negros Oriental State University, Shatin Campus. Welcome to Ed 203 Facilitating Learner-Centered Teaching class. For today's video, I will be discussing the instructional learning process, which is the learning objectives, part of the Unit 5 Learner-Centered Lesson Plans. So here are the objectives for today's session. Define what is instructional learning process, discuss the learning objectives, and identify why do we need learning objectives. So first, what is instructional learning processes? It is an interaction between students and teachers. Instructions are planned according to the curriculum based on needs identified through assessment and made possible through teacher training. The teaching learning activity can be viewed as a process that begins with the definition of what the learner should know and ends with the evaluation of what the learners actually know. As a result, the instructional learning processes will serve as a means of interaction between the learners and teachers. The curriculum is the basis for instruction, so basically, it is up to the teachers to decide what to teach and how to teach it. Teachers must select the content, skills, and methods for their teaching activities. Under the instructional learning processes are learning objectives, teaching content, and lesson planning. However, I will only discuss the learning objectives to you. So what is learning objectives? Learning objectives is a brief, clear, and specific statements of what the learners will be able to do at the end of the lesson as a result of the activities, teaching, and learning that has taken place. Learning outcomes are another term for learning objectives. We always come across these learning objectives whenever our teacher introduces us a new topic to discuss. They always show us the learning objectives or learning outcomes, right? What does learning objective looks like? A learning objective looks like this. We always come across this line whenever our teacher introduces a new topic. By the end of this lesson, the student will. Why do we need learning objectives? Learning objectives are teachers' guide in selection of content, development of an instructional strategy, development and selection of instructional materials, and construction of tests and other instruments for assessing and then evaluating students' learning outcomes. Having a learning objective guides teachers in a way that it will help the teachers articulate the knowledge and skills that they want the students to acquire by the end of the course. We also have here four components of learning objectives: audience, behavior, standard, and condition. Learning objectives should always specify the audience they are intended to serve. For instance, our teacher's audience is of course the students. Learning objectives should describe the intended audience because this will help you make your objective measurable. Behavior. Behaviors are observable actions that are supposed to accomplish by the end of the discussion. When writing a learning objective, it is critical to carefully select the right word to describe the student's behavior following the discussion. Identify, analyze, and list are examples of action words that can be used in writing learning objectives. Standard. Learning objectives should identify to what standard a given skill or knowledge must be achieved by the learners. It is important for us future teachers to have standards that allow us to be specific about how learners will complete an activity following the discussion. Condition. A condition in an objective specifies the condition under which given task should be performed. The condition may include the time and location where the task should be completed. For example, at the end of the lesson, learners will be able to list the learning theories in just 5 minutes. The condition there is 5 minutes. Moving on, let's talk about what is the SMART rule objective. What is SMART learning objective? The SMART test is a useful tool for double-checking your learning objective and ensuring that it has a better chance of success. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. Specific. Use clear, direct language to tell the learner exactly what he or she should learn and what he or she should be able to do after the lesson. Don't be vague, unclear, or misleading. Measurable. The point of setting a learning objective is to determine if the learner can meet, perform, or satisfy it. And you can only do that if the objective is something that you can measure. That means first, it must be an action that you can observe. This is where the common mistake of using words like know or understand, which are not actions that can objectively be observed. And second, the objective must be written so that any objective observer could watch the learner's performance and agree if the objective has been satisfied or not. Don't create a learning objective that can be satisfied only by your own subjective understanding of the performance. Achievable. Your learning objective must be something your learners have a chance of completing or satisfying. They must have enough pre-existing knowledge, time, and similar resources. For example, you wouldn't create a learning objective that asks an elementary school child to construct a rocket in an hour. It's not achievable. While checking your objectives at this level, make sure your learning objective isn't too easy either. Relevant. The objective should be something that the learner sees the values in learning. Don't teach materials that's not important or won't be used. Remember that your training should matter to your learners. Review this list of adult learning principles to see the importance of this. And to make this more clear, if you're creating job training, your learning objectives should teach workers to perform skills they'll perform on the job after the training is complete. Timely. Make sure your learning objective is something your learner will have to use in a timely fashion. Deliver learning to the learners that are timely and is related to what is your objective.
In this lesson, we discuss instructional learning processes and focus on learning objectives, which are brief, clear, and specific statements of what learners will be able to do by the end of the lesson as a result of the activities, teaching, and learning that happen. We also discussed why learning objectives are necessary, as well as the 4 components of learning objectives, which are audience, behavior, standard, and condition. Finally, we discussed SMART learning objectives, which stand for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. This topic teaches us how to be smart with learning objectives.
My discussion of the instructional learning process, which was the learning objective, has come to an end. I hope you have learned something from this video and will use it in the future. Thank you and God bless.